On this episode, we talk about using props in your photography. I discuss the placement and the choice of props and how best to achieve the results that you want. All that and more. This is the Photography Junkie. Hello, and welcome to episode 29 of the Photography Junkie podcast. I'm your host, Jay, and it's a pleasure to have you here with me. Before we get on with today's episode, I want to just do a bit of housekeeping and keep you informed about the Photography Junkie website. Besides this podcast going out in written form on there each week, there's also multiple articles that go out about various photography subjects. They are each between 5 to 10 minutes read long, which I think is just about long enough to read if you're on a break or sat on the toilet, for example. You can either browse the photographyjunkie.com or at your leisure, or you can join the mailing list for free by going to the link within this episode. For those that do sign up, once a month I send out a recap of what's gone on the site. That includes the episodes and also the articles as well. There's no spamming and your data is not sold to a third party. And of course, it's easy to unsubscribe if the content is not for you. So click on the link in the description and keep updated with the Photography Junkie. Also, you may or may not notice a difference in this episode as I have decided to upgrade my audio interface to a Focusrite Vocaster 1. If you would like me to do a review of the unit, then drop a comment in the episode and I'll be happy to do so. Anyway, it's time to get on with this week's topic. This week's subject is how to use props and accessories to enhance your photography. Like a painter with a palette, I've learned that props and accessories are the hues that can transform a photograph from mundane to masterpiece. I'm here to share how the right selection and artful placement can elevate your images. I'll guide you through understanding their significance, choosing apt accessories, and mastering composition. So let's dive into this creative journey, lighting up our thematic storytelling with props and make our shots speak volumes beyond the captured frame. The main key takeaways from this episode that I want you to take away. Props add depth and context to images, transforming them into storytelling pieces. Well-chosen props convey emotion, era, personality without words. Each prop carries symbolism that elevates the photos. Relevance to the theme and visual harmony are important when selecting props. Let's talk about understanding prop significance. In photography, I use props to add depth and context to my images, transforming them from simple snapshots into storytelling pieces. A well-chosen prop isn't just an object within the frame. It's a tool that conveys emotion, era, or personality. It's about making a statement without saying a word, allowing the viewers to dive deeper into the narrative that I'm creating. I'm always mindful of the symbolism each prop may carry. A vintage clock isn't merely an object marking time. It can evoke nostalgia or suggest the relentless passage of time. Similarly, a wilted flower might represent decay or the end of a season, while a bright blooming one could signify new beginnings. It's the layer of meaning that elevates my photos. When selecting props, I consider their relevance to the theme and the visual harmony and within the composition. I avoid cluttering the scene as each element must serve a purpose. I also think about color schemes and textures, ensuring they contribute to the overall mood. Ultimately, it's about balance and intention. I use props not just to fill space, but to enrich the story I'm telling, making every image a unique conversation with the viewer. Let's talk about choosing the right accessories. Selecting the perfect accessories for my photography is just as crucial as choosing the right props, as these items can make or break a visual story that I'm aiming to convey. When I'm on the lookout for accessories, I prioritize function and aesthetics. Will this vintage lens add a dreamy quality to my portraits? Can a prism create intriguing light effects that can elevate an ordinary scene? I often experiment with different accessories to discover unique combinations. A simple reflector, for instance, can fill shadows, sculpting the subject's features with precision. Meanwhile, a carefully chosen filter might transform the mood of an image from the subtle warmth of gold to the dramatic intensity that a polarizer that deepens the blue skies and cuts through glare. My advice is not to shy away from tech. Gadgets that promise to push the envelope. Tools like remote triggers for creative long exposures or drones for dynamic aerial shots are game changers. However, I also never underestimate the power of simplicity. Sometimes it's a minimalistic approach, delicate chain, or a handmade hat that introduces that spark of innovation. Ultimately, the right accessories are the ones that resonate with my vision and the story I want to tell. They're the silent partners that amplify the impact of every shot. Let's talk about composition and placement techniques. Understanding where and how to place props and accessories in my compositions is essential for achieving the desired visual effect. I've discovered the rule of thirds is a fantastic starting point. By positioning the props along these lines or at the intersections, I create more engaging and a balanced photo. It's about guiding the viewer's eye through the scene, leveraging the props to draw attention to the main subject or to frame it in an intriguing way. I also play with depth of field to bring props into the foreground or the background, adding layers to my composition without detracting from the main focal point. This technique can add a sense of place or tell a richer story. I'm mindful that every element in my photo should serve a purpose, whether it's to create harmony or tension, direct focus, or provide context. Lastly, I consider the negative space, the area around my props that can be just as telling as the props themselves. This space lets the subject breathe and can create a minimalist aesthetic that's powerful in its simplicity. By mastering these placement techniques, I ensure my photography not only captures moments, but also conveys emotions and narrative. Let's talk about lighting and prop interaction. Building on my exploration of composition, I found that the interplay between lighting and props is crucial for creating depth and mood in my photographs. It's not just about placing an object within the frame, it's about how light interacts with that object, casting shadows, creating highlights, and carving out textures. I often experiment with different lighting angles to see how they change the story a prop tells. Side lighting can throw long shadows and emphasize texture, while backlighting can create a silhouette effect that adds mystery and drama. I'm always thinking about how the quality of light, whether it's a soft diffuse light of an overcast day or the harsh direct light of a midday, will interact with my chosen props. Moreover, I consider the color of light and how it can affect the mood. Warm or cool lighting can alter the perceived temperature of a scene, imbuing it with a different emotional quality. I've learned the magic often happens in a nuanced dance between light and shadow. Let's talk about thematic storytelling with props. In my photography, I've discovered that carefully chosen props can be powerful narrators, weaving together thematic elements and bolstering the story I aim to convey. When I select a prop, it's not just about adding visual interest, it's about choosing a symbol that echoes the narrative that I'm crafting. For instance, a withered rose in a romantic portrait can speak volumes about love lost, just as a clock in a bustling city scene can highlight the relentless march of time. I approach prop selection with intentionality, asking myself how each object can serve the theme. I consider color, shape, texture, and size, ensuring that every prop reinforces the mood. A vintage suitcase can suggest travel or nostalgia, while a mirror might hint at self reflection or duality. I'm always on the lookout for unique items that can tell a story of their own. A well placed book can allude to knowledge or escape, and a pair of worn shoes might represent a journey. By integrating props that resonate with the theme, I'm able to create layers of meaning that invite the viewers to dive deeper into the image. It's this level of thoughtfulness that can transform a good photo into a compelling narrative. So, to conclude, in a dance of light and shadow, my lens captures more than just subjects, it seizes stories. Like a painter with a palette, I choose props that whisper tales, transforming the mundane into magic. I place each accessory with intention, as an author chooses words, crafting scenes that speak volumes. This is the alchemy of photography, where the right prop in just the right light becomes key to unlocking narratives in the silence of the still frame. So that's it for this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it and found it insightful. How do you personally deal with props in your scenes? Drop it in the comments and let's start the conversation. As always, this episode is available in written format over at thephotographyjunkie.com. Just remember, it's easy if you put the effort in. This is The Photography Junkie.